It's trending right now.
That one's trending right now. Cool, man. We are almost live.
Oh yeah, there we are. I see
There we
on
are.
the.
There we are. Let's see now. You're now the host.
All right, this is Colton Lindsay, your host, with a 2018 battle plan. See if I can share my camera. Still can't share my camera. Oh, there we can. Can y'all see me? If you guys can see me, do me a favor, whether you're on Facebook or you're on here on Zoom, put a 1. Do they have the comments open in the chat screen? Go ahead and click on that chat screen on the right-hand side if you guys are here, and put a 1 in the comments if you guys can see my video. Put a 2. Oh, looks like Tina can see it. So sweet. Awesome. Cool. So if we are ready to rock and roll, are we good, Jason? I'm good to go.
Yeah, man. Let's go. Let's get started.
Cool. Well, appreciate you guys being on here today with me. Mr. Jason Morris with Real Estate Agents That Really Work asked me to come on. Probably, I don't know, it was seemed like a few months ago, might have been a few weeks ago. Can't quite remember, but basically he asked me to come on here and help you get ready for 2018. So how many of you guys have had a pretty darn good 2017 and you're looking to really ramp up 2017? Put a yes in the comments. So I understand though as well that there is a lot of stuff, a lot of other things that you guys could be doing this morning. And depending on where you're at, if you're on the West Coast, it's 6 a.m. If you're here in Mountain Time with me, it's 7 a.m. And on the East Coast, you're 9 a.m. So Saturday morning, there's stuff that you guys could be doing. But I want to just applaud you guys and appreciate you guys for spending time with us inside of these trainings today, because it's really, really cool what Jason's working on to bring a bunch of different trainers from across the country together to help you guys get prepared just a little bit more to create your success in your real estate business. So would it be okay if I just take just a couple minutes? I see Kimmy here on the live Facebook feed, and Louise, Charles, thanks guys for being here. Would it be okay if I just take a couple minutes and just give you a quick background of how I got to where I'm at and why I'm even here training, just so you guys know that I'm not just some weirdo? Would that be okay? Put a 1 in the comments if you guys are cool with that. Awesome. Cool. Great. So let me just, I grew up middle class, working class, right? I grew up in a small town, started when I was first there, maybe 15, 18,000 people, rural part of Utah. And my parents were amazing to me in the fact that we always had food in on our table, food in my belly, roof over my head. I grew up going to church. I was a church boy, went to public school, just like most all my other friends in the area. And money was a little bit of elusive thing for me and my family. It's not that we didn't lack food and shelter, but we didn't have the money to go and spend on all the luxuries. How many of you guys can relate to what I'm saying? Like, my family vacations weren't first class trips to Europe, right? Like they were in the back of the camper up to Yellowstone, right? Like that was what we did. When my parents took me out to dinner, it was, we went to, the IHOP, because after 4 kids eat free, right? Or we would stop by Wendy's or McDonald's and my mom would buy us some food off of the value menu, right? So I grew up with this way of thinking around money, that there was a lack or a scarcity or not enough. And that my mindset as I grew up through elementary school and I hung out with the other kids is I thought I was going to work at a local utility company like my dad. My dad just retired from his company after 39 years of service. And then I actually am really appreciative of him, because he taught me a work ethic. I mean, I remember the guy being up every single day at 3:30 in the morning. In fact, one of my biggest lessons, guys, that I learned from him. We grew up on kind of like a little ranchette, and so there was horses and goats and chickens and whatever, and it was my job to clean up the horse shit. Okay, so what I would end up doing is I hated it. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have ever had to clean up horse shit before, but it just sucks, especially when it's rainy and mucky and gooey and stinky. You got these rubber boots and it's just meh, right? So I would get through it as fast as I can, and I wouldn't really do a good job of it. This is the reality of it. I would kind of cut corners. How many of you guys have ever cut corners in your life and you've seen the results that come from it? They're not always that great. But I remember one particular day, and it was raining all day, and I just hurried through it. And it was probably 11:30 at night. I was asleep in bed already. My dad had came home from a late night of work and come home. Next thing I know, my lights flipped on, and he's ripping me out of bed, and he's taking me out to the horse stalls. And I remember he gave me the rake to get going again on it, and he says, "Colton, you can't do a half-assed job with horse shit." And I didn't at the time, like I was like pissed, right? Because it's the middle of the night and I'm cleaning up stinky horse shit. And then, but what I got from that is not only can you not do a half-assed job with horse shit, you can't do a half-assed job in life, right? And so I want you guys to kind of take a look at that. Everything that you do, whether it's prospecting for your real estate business, setting up your marketing plan for 2018, or what we're going to be talking about today, creating your financial freedom plan. Whether you're doing any of these things, or it's your marriage or your relationships or your health or your fitness, I don't know what you guys are challenged with right now, but I know it's something, right? You got some sort of storm in your life. Everyone does. We all have stuff, but whatever it is that you're going to attack this year, can't do a half-assed job in 2018. So give me a yes in the comments if you can relate to that. Let's go full out and let's play to win. So moving forward, as I went through, middle school, elementary school, I went through and I grew up just still thinking I had to exchange my time for dollars. And how many of you guys got into real estate because you wanted to make a lot of freaking money? Like, let's be honest with you. You guys got your real estate license. You hopped into the real estate world because, you know what, I want to make money. I want to have a little bit more of life on my terms. Put a 1 in the comments and say, yes, we get what we're talking about here, right? And so, but depending on how you grew up, like recently I did a conversation, you guys will hear from him later today, Derek Lipsky, right? He told me when he grew up, his mom, they couldn't always afford, in Massachusetts, you buy oil, right, to put your heater on, right? Like they couldn't even afford that. He remembers bundling up in like winter suits just to sleep at night, right? So I didn't grow up that poor. I grew up, middle class enough. We always had heat. We always had water. The light bills were always on. But what I've learned is I grew up so comfortable. I never challenged these beliefs, these financial beliefs. Okay. And it wasn't until, I went on an LDS mission when I was 19 years old, served in Brazil, the best 2 years of my entire life. And while I was there in Brazil, I noticed a different shift in patterns, right? I noticed that people still were going about their lives, and then there was extremely poor people that were super nice and super loving and super happy. And then there was these, these different patterns of propaganda, so to speak. I don't know if any of you guys, how many of you guys have traveled before? Put a T in the comments if you've traveled somewhere before other than just here in the United States or maybe Canada. If you go to these other countries, it's like things are kind of normal, but they're a little bit different. Like you notice, like because your pattern's not used to it, that they've got their own propaganda and their own stuff that they're talking about. And that was when my mind first clicked. And I was in this small town called São Luís Gonzaga. It's in the southern part of Brazil. And I was at their local town square, and I went by a bookstore, and I had come across a book, Como Influenciar Pessoas e Ganhar Amigos, right? And what that stands for in English, that was in Portuguese, is how to influence people and make friends, or whatever, the book, How to Make Friends and Influence People. One of the most famous books of all time by Dale Carnegie. And so I actually picked up that book and I read it the first time in Portuguese at 21 years old. And I started to realize that was the first time, if I gave people service, if I helped them out, and I'd been doing it for 2 years on my mission, but I didn't realize it, is if I helped people, naturally good things came back to me. So my mind started to open up, my heart started to open up, I started to shift. And a couple of years later, I was 23 years old, and I went to an event in Salt Lake City that one of my friends had invited me to. How many of you guys have heard of a guy named Garrett White, Wake Up Warrior? You're probably, if you're a guy, you might have heard of him on the internet before. Put a yes in the comments if you heard of him. drop a no in the comments if you hadn't heard of them. And then if you guys notice, I'm always asking you to put comments below. Why is that? Because we live in a world of digital linguistics now, right? And so I want to be able to engage with you. The more you can engage, the more you can participate in this, the more you're going to learn. So make sure you're using that comment button. If you're on Facebook, I don't know if you can do reactions or not, but do it if you can, and hit that like button, okay? So Garrett White, he said the term, and look him up online. He's a cool guy. He's created a pretty cool business. He's really, really pretty crude in his language, but he's an amazing guy that's delivering a lot of value. And he said, he told me what the terms financial freedom were. Okay, so financial freedom is where your passive and residual income pay for your desired lifestyle, okay? Now, as I realized as I launched a new training program this year called Financial Freedom Nation Jumpstart and through our accelerated coaching program, that there's a lot of people, and I don't know if you guys are them or not, that they just weren't aware of what financial freedom was. See, so as I grew up, and I told you my story of being a kid with my parents and how I did things, is I thought I had to go to work, and for every hour that I worked, I would get $1 per hour, right? But I didn't realize that I could create systems and investments that could pay me over and over again for life. That's called passive and residual income. How many of you guys would like to get something set up, put some effort and energy into something, and then continue to get paid from that forever? Imagine if you could wake up for 2018, or maybe it's going to be 2019 or 2020 for you guys, but you could wake up, you could fog the mirror, and you still get paid, right? Well, you absolutely can. That was the first time I'd heard of it, was from Garrett White at 23. Fast forward, from 23 to 27, I went through this stage of my life where I thought it made sense to have a lot of sex, a lot of drugs, and a lot of alcohol, and a lot of stupid shit in my life. And come to find out, it was a complete waste of my life, but I did learn some amazing lessons. I learned that growing up as a church boy, that I kind of was judgmental. How many of you guys grew up in the church? Maybe, you've been religious throughout most of your life. I found out that I was judging people. So when I went through this kind of hiatus of the dark side, so to speak, I had met a good friend of mine that at the time he had tattoos all over his body and super great guy he was a cocaine dealer, selling a bunch of cocaine. But yet this guy, I noticed that he was so freaking nice to people. Like, he would help anyone and everyone, and he'd be the first guy to step up and just serve in the community. It was just like the most interesting thing. And so I started to realize it didn't matter if someone was religious or if it didn't matter if they weren't religious. But what I realized is that at the core, all of us had a really good, solid heart, and we want to help people, but we have these different backgrounds that we've developed a blueprint around our life, around our health, around our finances, around how to have relationships, right? And what I really found out is that the blueprint that's being taught to people is an average mindset, is a working class mindset. And I'll tell you about this in a little bit, but it's actually purposely being driven upon people. Okay. And so then I was 27 years old. I went to an event and I met a guy named Doug Nelson. Okay. And he said to me, and I want you to pay attention to this, because this literally was the shift that took me to go from having to continue to work and sell houses to make money, to be able to start really creating that idea of financial freedom with passive residual income. Because I think we've all, if you're in real estate, you've probably all heard of passive and residual income. Drop a 1 if you have in the comments, put a 2 in the comments if you've not heard of passive residual income, right? I think we've all heard of it. But how many of us have been really creating? It wasn't until I heard Doug Nelson say, listen, Colton, average people go on vacation for a week. Wealthy people, financially free people go on vacation for a season. And I thought, holy shit, that's what I really, really want. I want to be able to wake up, go wherever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, and do whatever I want. How many of you guys can get what I'm saying when you want to live that lifestyle? What I found out is from 27 to 31, I went through this journey of becoming financially free. At the age of 31, I became 100% financially free. That's where my passive and residual income, that's where the money that's reoccurring and passively coming in every single month paid for my lifestyle. And then by the age of 33, that's, here we are today. Fast forward, I think this year I'd have to double check, but I'm averaging somewhere between $40,000 and $44,000 a month in residual income. Okay. And what I learned as I look back, and have you guys ever heard of me before, or ever seen me on the interwebs before? Put a yes in the comments if you have. I know if this is, put a hell yeah if this is your first time hearing of me, right? What I've learned is guys like you, guys and gals like you, they would reach out to me and say, Colton, I've watched you from your first YouTube video with your shaggy hair and blah, 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 when you were prospecting and making a fool of yourself. I've seen what you've developed. I've seen what you've created, the brand you've grown, and how you've done. How the hell did you create that financial freedom? That was a question I got asked a lot. And I get asked a lot, well, how do I invest my money, or where should I put my money, or yada, yada. And the reality is that's the wrong question, guys. The right question for you guys is, how do I manage my cash flow? Okay, so write the word cash flow down. In fact, drop the word cash flow in the comments, okay? So what I realized is going from 27 to 31 as creating financially freedom is the one thing that Doug Nelson taught me was how to manage that cash flow. So when a dollar comes into us and a dollar goes away from us, that's flow, the flow of money, right? In fact, what really keeps our economy rocking and rolling, this is why we had so much challenges in 2007 to 2011, is what keeps the money or the economy going is spending. Right. And what happened in that time frame is we had a major reduction in spending, especially in the real estate market. For those of you guys that were in the market with me 10 years ago, we had this reduction in the flow of cash going through the economy. Right. You had your own economy. You have money flowing through you. And so what I found out through my case studies, especially for realtors, okay, that 90% of you guys don't have a cash flow management system, meaning that when money comes in and money goes away, you don't have a system to filter the dollars so that as your money flows away from you, it works for you versus against you. Just by clicking a 1 in the comments, put a 1 if you do 100% have a cash flow management system. Put a 2 in the comments if you don't have a cash flow management system, okay? There's a couple of problems that we have. So I already noticed some people putting 2s, like, I don't have a cash flow management system. And don't worry, 90% of you don't, okay? In fact, there is a fear that now that we have in the United States and North America and Canada is it's no longer the number one fear is the fear of death, right? And that is a pretty big fear for most people. And in fact, the more you admit you have that fear, the more it tends to diminish and you can live life on your terms, right? When you fear everything, you really realize you don't fear anything because you are everything. It's the craziest experience. But the biggest fear that, and maybe you guys are starting to see this, if you guys have any parents that have started to retire, or you're starting to think about retirement, or you're thinking futuristic, the word retirement, right? Is the fear is that, will I outlive my money, right? I mean, we're seeing this fear with the baby boomers today, that they're afraid that they're going to live longer then their money's going to live. And how are they going to survive at that point? That's truly a fear that's driving society today. Okay. And I'm seeing a lot of 2s on here of not having a cash flow management system. So I'm glad that you guys gave me the opportunity to share with you a little bit what we can do about this. Okay. So here's some of the problems that you guys are facing. Number one is you probably never have the money to start investing. Like a lot of you have mentioned that, yes, you do know what passive and residual income is, but you never quite have the money to get started in investing. That's one of the problems that I see with you guys. The other thing is how many of you guys as realtors have these ups and downs of your income? Like maybe in June you had an amazing month. Like I had in June, I had $146,000 revenue month, right? That's a lot of freaking money. Then in July, I had an $86,000 month, which to go from $150,000 to $86,000, that's a pretty drastic drop percentage-wise, right? And some of you might be saying, well, damn, I'd be okay with $86,000, right? But my point is that you have these ups and downs with real estate. Yes, drop a yes in the comments if I'm not the only one that has these ups and downs with our revenue, right? And so you have these ups and downs, and what happens is when you have these ups, or even actually when you're leading up to these ups and you know you got a bunch of deals ready to close, how do you feel emotionally? Okay, because this is really, really important to pay attention to your emotions and the relationship around money. Is you feel excited, you feel enthusiasm. Drop some comments below on how you feel when you're making a lot of money, right? But I want you to then look at that month, right? How many of you have had that month where you didn't have a ton of closings, right? Well, maybe you had that big old goose egg of a 0. I remember earlier in my career, I had have a 0 month before I didn't make any money. How do you feel once the revenue drops, once you have that 0, or maybe instead of making $20,000 a month, you only made $5,000? How do you feel emotionally? you start to feel a little bit of doubt and a little bit of anxiety, or a little bit of, oh shit, where's the money going to come from? And even though, especially I know guys are great at this, all of us realtors are great at this, right? But you start to say this whole positive mindset shit, like, it'll be okay, like I'll figure it out. But deep down inside, like, where the fuck's the money gonna come from, right? Like, I know because I've been there before, I've experienced it before. I'm one of you guys, right? And so that's one of your problems, is the emotional effects of the up and down when it comes to money. The other one is you guys just never were taught cash flow management. As you can see, there was only maybe a couple people that dropped a one when we were talking about, do you have a cash flow management system? So most of you don't have that. And then here's the other problem you guys have. You pay every other person out there first before you pay yourself. You're not paying yourself first. And so society's been taught that, hey, pay your bills, pay your mortgage, pay your car payment, pay your marketing stuff, pay this, pay that, and then save what's left over. But have you ever noticed that there never seems to be money left over? Like, it's just not there to be able to start investing. So that's one of your other problems that you're dealing with. So let's talk about what caused these problems, guys. Sorry, I got to get my green smoothie in for the day. 1 pound of spinach a day. Real quick too, put a yes in the comments if you guys are already getting value delivered to you, or put a no if you think I'm just talking hocus pocus. I'd love to really get your feedback, because my whole goal is to create value for you guys, empower you to act. When you're finished with me today, I want you to get into action. And hopefully too, you'll share some of what you've learned, because the more you share what you learn, guess what? You have an 80% more chance of retaining that information. Yes? Cool. Great. I appreciate you guys putting some yeses in the comments. Okay, so what caused this problem? Number one is you were taught a broken belief system, a broken financial blueprint. Okay, you were actually taught how to be middle class, how to be working class. Okay, I mean, you think about it, where did you learn about money? In fact, when you really want to boil it down, where did you learn about health? Where did you learn about relationships or how to have a marriage, right? You learn from modeling your parents. You learn from going to public school. You learn from your friends in the community, being involved in the community. If you were like me, you learn from the people at the church that you went to, right? And so, not that these people deliberately said, I want to teach you some wrong shit, but they just didn't know what they didn't know. That's the first level of learning, unconscious incompetence. But with time, you start to hit this level of conscious incompetence where you start to be aware, like, wait a second, something's off here. I'm just not quite sure what it is. And you might be at that stage, or you might be breaking through to the third level, which is conscious competence, okay? So you write the word in the comments or write it down in your notes. Financial blueprint. Okay. So what happened is your financial blueprint, your financial thermostat was set to be middle class, working class, to do it this other way. And if you all know, you're all realtors, we all do a lot of shit based on our habits, right? And if, I mean, I'm 33 years old, so now I have 33 years of habits. I'm so thankful that in my 20s, I started to learn about this stuff and really applied it, because I couldn't imagine if I had to continue to develop the other beliefs. I see it all the time with the stress and the fear and the worry and the anxiety. How many of you guys are just done having stress around money? Put a yes in the comments. You're done letting money dominate you. I want to share one belief that I developed around money. Two beliefs. I'm going to share two beliefs with you. Number one is money comes to me easily and frequently. How would you like to have that money come to you easily and frequently? I developed that belief. And the second belief that I developed is money's not real. Money's not real. When you think about it, it's just absolutely not real. You go into a restaurant and you order some food, and afterwards they give you your ticket or your check. 98% of the time, unless you're an older generation, you just give them a credit card and they walk away, come back, you sign some paper, you leave, and you're done. There's really no exchange. We have more of a digital exchange today, which is really beliefs on digits. So that belief that money isn't real, okay? So those are the two things. Money comes to me easily and frequently, and money isn't real. Okay. So where did we learn this shit? It was our school. It was our parents. It was our churches. It was our community. It was taught to you from the very minute you were born on this average way of thinking around money. Also, we have to understand that because of this financial blueprint, we've developed a money personality profile, a money personality type. And there's 5 different money personality types. One is, and a lot of realtors are this one, right, is the spender, right? We just spend more than we make, right? I see all the time people making 50, 60, 70 grand a month, and yet they spend 80, 90, 100 grand. They're spending more than they even make, right? In fact, I think we even have a little bit of that issue with our country the last 20 years, right? We're spending way more money than we bring in as an economy, right? The next one is the money monk. This is the person, and they probably grew up religious, which is nothing. I'm totally for religion if that's your thing. I'm personally not a religious guy, but is the idea of a money monk is that there is this belief planted in you that it's not spiritually acceptable to have money. And it's almost evil to have money, right? We've all heard of that quote, the love of money is the root of all evil, right? And so what happens is that gets developed, right? Or you might have heard that saying, money doesn't grow on trees. How many of you have heard that one from your parents before? Who do you think I am? The Rockefellers, right? Like all this weird stuff, okay? So the money monk, it's spiritually wrong to have money is one of the beliefs. The other one is the amasser, right? This is where the ego really pushes to just accumulate a lot of money. I think we've all probably seen through social media that there's quite a few people out there that have this amasser issue, right? And then there's the other one that's the avoider. Maybe this is you too. A lot of realtors are this person, is we just avoid the whole topic of money and finance and investing and cash flow management altogether because we just don't want to deal with it because it stresses us out. So it's like, we'll deal with it later, right? It's like Joshua Smith at GSD Mode says, it's like for some reason we believe that our future self has these superhuman powers that we're going to magically fix shit in the future. And the reality is it's what we do right here, right? But it's this avoider mentality around money, okay? Another one of these types of personalities is the saver or the hoarder, right? Like I grew up as a very conservative saver thanks to my dad, right? And I almost think that the saver has an advantage, although saving is for losers, right? Because if you just save your money in a bank account, like maybe what a lot of you guys do is when you receive your commission checks, they just go to your checking account and they sit in a large, they just sit there, right? And so when it starts to build up, you feel good, but when it starts to go down, you start to stress out a little bit because that fear of loss kicks in, right? We naturally, the way our brain works is we ignite into movement through fear of loss, right? Which that's a key thing in your selling proposition. When you're learning your sales skills, use fear of loss question. That's part of being able to use the linguistic program, right? So there's the 5 money personalities, and it's not like one is right or one is wrong, but it's about being aware of what your dominant personality is, and making sure you pick and choose the good things from all of those personalities and apply them to recreate that financial blueprint. Okay, so the other thing is I personally believe that there is an elite group of parasitical individuals, wealthy people on the planet that really helped establish this system this way to keep us in check, to keep the masses in check, and to keep the middle class moving in the middle class direction. The economy is really built off of the backs of the middle class people, right? And so I truly believe that there's a parasitical group of individuals that they really are siphoning money from the average to middle class. You look at the financial industry, 401ks, IRAs, right? Like, I mean, I met with a financial advisor just to kind of interview him and get some information from him. And he said, hey, Colton, we can get you in some really aggressive investments and we can get you 8.5% return on your money this next year. And I thought in my mind, you motherfucker want to give me 8.5% when I'm getting 25% of my own shit right now? You out of your mind, man, right? But that's what we're being taught by the masses, is to get these smaller returns on our money. Plus, we're going to pay them a good chunk of commissions. And so by the end of it, our money never starts working for us, right? And I believe that it was specifically set up against us to do that, okay? But I also believe that there's an elite group of individuals that are very generous, very wealthy, and very kind and loving and want to help us, okay? And it's only been the last maybe 5 to 10 years and maybe you guys have noticed this, we've had a major shift in the awareness and the consciousness level of humanity because more information is flowing and it opens our minds to new possibilities. And with new possibilities plants new thoughts. New thoughts arise new emotions, and new emotions create new actions, and new actions create new results, okay? So that's the flow of manifestation, okay? So those are some of the causes of the problem. I want to talk about for a minute, how have you guys failed to resolve this problem? Okay, you obviously are aware of these. Are you guys learning stuff? Drop a 1 in the comments if you're learning from me, guys. Drop a no if you think I'm cray-cray. Okay, so how have we failed to resolve this? Number 1 is you guys just haven't known any better, right? You just don't know what you don't know. That's called unconscious incompetence. Everyone goes through that stage, right? But then you come to that level I talked about, the conscious incompetence, And so that you start to become aware that that old way of doing it isn't working. The other thing is you just haven't invested in learning how to change your financial blueprint. You haven't invested in financial literacy. And if you look at most real estate coaches and trainers today, I don't know of anyone that's teaching financial cash flow management. I mean, you think about it, you guys have probably gone to other coaches, other trainers, maybe some big events, but who's really up there on stage or on the internet teaching you how to manage your dollars? It's not happening. Okay. So the other thing is you just still haven't started paying yourself first. Even you, some of you all probably read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or maybe that's what got you into real estate. He talks about paying yourself first. Richest Man in Babylon talks about paying yourself first, but you just still haven't started doing it. Okay. So that's how we failed to do it. We failed to take action on it. We failed to learn a new way. We failed to break through what I call our financial freedom membrane, right? When we want to go from our lower self, which is fear, doubt, worry, irritation, anxiety, frustration. Like some of you just feel like you can't even fucking breathe sometimes. And so it's like, you got to be able to learn to breathe and break through this membrane to where you go to a freedom zone where it's love, it's abundance, it's excitement, it's enthusiasm, it's passion. Remember when you first got into real estate, or maybe some of you guys are brand new, how excited were you? Like, yeah, I'm going to sell 1 billion houses. I'm going to make a lot of money. And then 90 days into, you're like, holy shit, this thing is much harder than I anticipated. True or true? Right? And so you have to be able to break through this membrane. And as we try to break through this membrane, we get into this whirlwind or this storm, right? And we start to get beat up a little bit. And you start to get rejected by some sellers, or maybe get someone to hang up on you on the phone, or maybe you have a snag with your car and your engine blows, or you got a flat tire, or maybe you got a medical emergency that was unplanned. What I'm talking about is life starts happening a little bit. You start getting beat up a little bit, and you start getting beat up a little bit. You start to go back to your comfort zone. You start to go back to where you were okay and you were safe, right? And that's the actions and the thoughts and the emotions that got you here in the first place. What you got to be able to do is to kind of be calm and center and move through this membrane to where you can launch through, because it's just the other side of our comfort zone is where our freedom zone lies, where we can have more money, where we can have more success, we can have more freedom with our cash flow. Okay. So what are 5 steps you guys can do to break through that membrane and to go to the other side? Number 1 is just become aware, right? Like number 1 is to become aware and admit, honestly, guys, the way I'm doing it just isn't working, right? Like I'm clearly not getting advanced. Maybe it's I'm not getting advanced in increasing my active income. And that's probably why a lot of you guys are here. Is 2018, you want to make way more money than you did in 2017, right? If that's you, put a yes in the comments. Like if you want to double your active income this year, you'd be cool with that, put a yes in the comments, right? The other thing is maybe it's time to admit, you know what, I really, even though I know everyone in my office and people are talking about creating passive residual income, I really don't know how to do it. Like the truth is I don't know how to do it. And so you got to start learning how to do it, right? Or maybe I really don't know what to even do to change my blueprint. Start admitting that there is a challenge here. Okay. The next thing is immediately, like if you guys take one thing from today's session with me, is start paying yourself first. Put a yes in the comments that you will commit to that. I recommend a minimum of 10% of every dollar you earn goes towards your financial freedom. It goes to an account that no one else gets to touch, only you do. So you can start accumulating that money and start purchasing assets that pay you over and over again. So that's the second thing you guys can do immediately, is start paying yourself first, okay? Third thing is start using a cash flow management system. I teach in my opinion, one of the most amazing cash flow management systems in Financial Freedom Nation in our Jumpstart program and through our accelerated coaching program. If you have questions about that, let me know. But get a cash flow management system. There are a few of them out there that are taught. I believe that most of them, like maybe you guys have heard of a guy named Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace. I think what he's doing is awesome to really help people. But however, what I do believe he's doing is the management system that he's teaching and the blueprint that he's teaching is to just a higher level of middle class, right? It's like, hey, own a 1984 minivan, right? And the reality is how many of you want a little bit nicer lifestyle? Like maybe you'd like just to fly first class, or maybe you'd like to be like Brian Casella, who's coming on later today. Maybe you'd like to actually buy a Lamborghini Huracan, right? How many of you like that nice car? or that nice vacation, or maybe you just like to have that security and that freedom of money coming in every day, right? Like that's not going to be taught in other cash flow management systems. So one of the important things is when you apply a cash flow management system is that you find out what are the results that I want. And then you go find a system that gets you those results, a proven system, like people that have used that system and that's got the results, and then you apply it to your life. Okay. And you think about it, from 27 to 31, 4 years is pretty freaking quick to create financial freedom. I interviewed Melanie Nelson, that's Doug Nelson's wife, the guy that helped me understand this management system. And she said that she was able to create her financial freedom in about 4 to 5 years. And that she's a trainer on stage. She trains blueprints and money financial blueprints, right? And she says that most of her students, they can create it in 4 to 5 years. How would you like to be able to create financial freedom in 4 to 5 years? It's extremely possible, especially for you guys. You guys that are realtors have a leg up against the average Joe that's a 9-to-5er, right? Because you're already thinking a little bit differently. You already have the ability to start creating 20, 30, 40, $50,000 months, $100,000 months easily, right? So then the other thing that you guys got to do, step number 4, okay, this is the 4th step here, is you got to immediately start investing in your financial literacy and your growth, right? Think about that. Like, the 3 biggest things that really govern you is money. The other one is your food, your nutrition, your health, right? And then the other one are your relationships. And yet we were never taught these growing up, unless we had some amazing parents that they were financially free and had the best marriage on the planet and they were fit and healthy. Unless we had those parents, which you probably didn't. I know I didn't. My parents are great. They love me. They support me, taught me some awesome stuff, but they weren't fit. They weren't healthy. They sure as hell weren't financially free. And believe it or not, they fought quite a bit in their marriage. And it was usually around this subject of money. How many of you had parents that when they would fight, it always around money, right? Or even today in your marriage, or if your marriage ended, it was probably something to do with money, right? So start investing in your financial growth and in that literacy and your understanding to recreate that blueprint, right? You go to these coaching programs and these seminars and you learn to maybe sell some more houses, but when are you going to start learning to manage the cash flow that you make? Because if you don't do it, the other 7.5 billion people on the planet sure as hell ain't going to do it for you, right? And then the other thing is, number 5 is this, what I believe is one of the most important. Start to focus on your emotional relationship around money. It's just called state management. Okay. So on those ups and down months, we know it's scientifically proven that physiologically, when stress arises, anxiety and fear and doubt arises in our body or in our minds, it affects our body, right? How many of you guys have had that sweaty palms, or that tightening in your chest, or that headache that gets you right here because you're so freaking stressed? And maybe back what I used to do is I would tend to, when I was stressed, for whatever fucking reason, I'd go get my cell phone because I thought there was a solution on there. Like I'd start checking my emails, I'd start checking some shit here, and I was like trying to find a solution to my stress. And the reality is I needed to go the other way, get the hell away from my cell phone, get recentered, just breathe a little bit, and remember, hey, Colton, dude, you're floating on a rock in the middle of outer space, far enough away from the sun that you're not melting, close enough that you're not freezing, with 7.5 billion people. And as far as I know, there's not another planet really near us that has another human life form on it. You're pretty fucking lucky, dude, to like even exist, right? So we have to step back and relax and manage that state of emotion. It's what I call stay in the eye of the storm, because guys, going forward in 2018 with your battle plan is you're going to have some challenges, true or true. You're going to face some issues. You're going to face some stuff with your business, maybe with your marriage, maybe with your family. I mean, one of my good friends, and you guys probably all know who he is, recently his stepson was hit by a car and he's been in a coma for the last 30 days, right? You think that's a little bit of a shitstorm to be dealing with? This stuff is real life that we're dealing with, and we've got to stop pretending that it affects us emotionally. And we've got to start being aware of our emotions, where they're at, accepting where they're at, and alleviating that pressure and that fear and that stuff. I mean, some of us are holding on to shit from 20, 30, 40 years ago of something someone said to us. You got to let it go, man. And you got to begin to do this state management. And there's ways to do it. We teach it in Financial Freedom Nation. In fact, there's 2 things I really teach in Financial Freedom Nation. One is cash flow management. Be the dominator of your money. And 2 is, how do you become like emotionally free? How do you dominate and win in your inner world, that inner game? How do you just feel like you're breathing again? Remember when you're a kid, you could play for hours and time didn't fucking matter, but now you're always looking at that watch or that phone, or when's that next appointment, or shit, I didn't get my calls in today. And so now you're laying in bed with that shit rolling in your head, like all the stuff you didn't do. How many of you get what I'm talking about? Drop a 1 in the comments. This is the stuff that we've got to start changing in our lives, okay? Fast forward, we want to create a new result. What is the result we want to start creating? We want to start to increase our active income. So 2018, I want you to start thinking, how can I make more money this next year than I did this in 2017? And maybe a better question is, why do I want to earn more money in 2018 versus 2017? So that's number one, start increasing your active income. The other result that we want to create is start now generating passive and residual income, right? Because compound interest either works for you or against you. Okay, so start to generate. We want to start having money work for us. We want to start doing it now, immediately, yesterday, right? The other thing is that we want to do is we want to start to focus on expanding our net worth. One of the things I learned from a mentor of mine was to literally track my net worth, right? A lot of you guys probably know you got to track your numbers in real estate. I'm a big numbers tracker. I didn't always used to be, right? I avoided that like the plague. Started tracking my numbers, not to be held accountable to someone, but to track the patterns that came from my numbers. If I wasn't setting enough appointments, well, it was because I wasn't making enough phone calls. But I started getting more appointments, but not getting contracts signed. Well, I needed to improve my presentation skills, right? Or whatever it is. But what you focus on expands, and motherfuckers, don't tell me it's no bold law. It's a fucking universal law. What you focus on expands, okay? So if you start focusing on your net worth, it will naturally start expanding. Okay, I've been doing this since 2012, and I watched my net worth go from a negative to nearly $2 million. And it was in a matter of 5 years, because what I did is I focused on it. I planted that thought in here. I was obsessed over it. I was hungry for it, and it grew, right? But I do want to give you guys a warning with this. With this idea of the science of success, the science of achievement, that's one part, and you can dominate it. And I feel like I've got really great at it. But there's another part of our life, guys, that I want you to not miss out on. And that's the art of fulfillment, right? Who gives a shit if you guys make a bunch of money in 2018 and you create financial freedom and passive income, residual income, but you're still stressed and anxious, right? You've got to be able to learn this art of fulfillment, the peace and tranquility of existing, because time is infinite, and the only infinite time you have is right this moment. So stop thinking about the past, because it's the past that's making you depressed and fearful, and stop thinking so much about the future, because that's what's causing your anxiety. You're afraid of the unknown in the future. But what is certain? Ask yourself, where am I? Certainty is right here, right in this moment. Okay. So, and then the other thing is we got to start getting more confident with our financial decisions by getting educated. And then we got to begin to live life on our terms. Okay. So how many of you guys learned something from me today? Drop a 1 in the comments if I brought some value today, or drop a no if I offended you with the fuck word. I don't really give a shit, because I know what I'm creating is to help you guys out. And I hope that you can open your mind and open your heart enough to let this in and to sink in and to start to retrain your financial blueprint. Okay. So what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes. If you guys are okay with it, if not, you want to go to take a bathroom break or a drink break, I want to share with you an opportunity to help you guys in 2018. Each of us have this drive to financially be free, right? To just to be free of this anxiety and this fear and the stress around money, but ultimately to create the money coming in over and over again, okay? So we can only do that to the extent that we master our cash flow, okay? And the management behind it. That's the one secret. It's not picking the right stock. It's not picking the right real estate property. That will help, but it's managing your cash flow. And it's very common to see real estate agents just like you guys. You get stuck in never being able to get your money work for you. Are you tired of this bullshit yet? Put a yes in the comments if you're tired of it, okay? So what's the solution? You got to be able to direct your excitement, your drive, your enthusiasm, and focus to apply a proven cash flow management system that will actually create your financial freedom. How would you guys like a step-by-step formula to manage every dollar you earn to grow your net worth and pass residual income? If you had that process, would you use it? Drop a yes in the comments if you would use it, okay? So I appreciate you being here. What I'm going to share with you is an opportunity that is the exact cash flow management system that I personally use and that I learned from my multimillionaire mentors. It took me from broke to financially free from the age of 27 to the age of 31, where I'm at today, averaging over $40,000 a month in passive and residual income through real estate, through stocks, through online income streams, all by the age of 33. How would you like to have a rapid transformation with your financial cash flow management and your financial freedom? Would that be cool, or would that be cool? Okay. So who is this for? Because it's not that what I'm offering isn't going to be for all of you guys. I get that. That's okay. I want to help those people that are ready for it, right? So number one, it's for the person who was never taught how to cash flow management before. You were never taught to manage your cash flow. That's who it's for. It's for the people that are tired of paying everyone else first and never being able to get ahead. Okay? It's for the person that wants to accelerate their financial freedom path. It's for the objective for this offer, this opportunity, is to help you become crystal clear with your cash flow management system, so you can actually take the thought and manifest it into reality of financial freedom. It's who would like to have a proven cash flow management system. Like, how many of you guys would really, really like that? Put a yes in the comments. And it's for the person, and maybe this is you, who would like to be able to do what you want, when you want, and have more control over your life and your finances, right? Who would like to be able to fog the mirror and still get paid? Put a yes if that's you, okay? Now, this isn't an overnight thing. You're not going to happen overnight. I mean, it literally takes some time, effort, and energy, like everything. Okay. So what you're going to learn is you're going to get an 8-video module training program that is going to teach you that exact cash flow management system that I use, that helped me become financially free by 31, that my mentors taught me, that they're extremely financially free. I mean, I got one of my mentors, I watched one of my mentors make $86,000 in 60 minutes, right? Like, you're going to be able to learn cash flow management from people like that. Okay. So you're going to be able to learn how to pay yourself first before anyone else gets their money, including that government. How many of you guys are tired of having to extend every spring, get the extension on your taxes, right? Or what if you could save more money by lowering your tax bill? Or once you start getting your assets built, you know, the stuff that pays you over and over again, how are you going to protect it so no one else comes and takes it from you? That's called asset protection, okay? You're also going to learn how to make your money work for you versus against you, identifying the difference of an asset versus a liability. And then you're going to learn, how many of you got some bad debt? You're going to learn how to pay off bad debt quickly and use good debt to your advantage. I had one of our students, he just hit his new target for him was he hit his $100,000 net worth, but he had some bills, student loans. Anyone had student loans before? Set to be paid off in the year 2028. He will now, with the plan that he's got in place, have it paid off by the year 2019. Is that cool? Is that cool? Right? And you're also going to learn the how-to techniques with cash flow management, with lowering your tax bill, with protecting your assets, along with the how-to techniques of emotional state control, which is the most important part, with accelerated learning to attract more money and fulfillment into your life. Meaning, I'm going to teach you guys how to literally become a magnet and attract money back to you versus resist it, versus attracting the shit. Okay. Some of the key benefits: you're going to become confident with your future, your financial future, and your money. You're going to know exactly how to spend your money before it enters your bank account. You're going to begin to pay yourself first, create that financial blueprint of success, have a game plan for starting to create passive residual income. And obviously, you're going to have access to 8 videos for life. Once you get it, you're going to have it forever. Okay. So I want to share with you guys a few testimonials from people that have gone through the course. One of them is Shauna Overman. She's a realtor like you guys in North Carolina. She says, Financial Freedom Nation is the thing that every person must be a part of to grow their wealth. In the first 6 weeks, I paid off 5 credit cards and 1 business loan. And shortly after, through our accelerated coaching program, saved over $7,000 on her tax bill. Not to mention, she started to create her own residual income. So how would you like to get $7,000 extra from your taxes this next year? That happens with what you can learn in Financial Freedom Nation. Okay. The other thing is from Chad Boyle. He's a realtor in Atlanta, Georgia. He said, Financial Freedom Nation is freaking awesome. Okay, I have never had this much control over money in my entire life, or this much confidence of my financial future. And I'm no spring chicken. It's a technique I can pass on to my kids and ensure their future success as well. Okay, and the last one I want to be able to share with you is from a good friend of mine, Mr. Brian Casella. Anyone heard of Brian Casella before? Put a yes in the comments if you've heard of Brian Casella. Okay, he's pretty popular on the internet these days. Okay, so Mr. Brian Casella has to say, I started using the exact financial freedom system that Colton teaches, and it's taken me to a whole nother level financially. How many of you have noticed Brian's gone to another level financially the last couple years, right? He says, I now earn tens of thousands of dollars a month from various revenue sources. I own real estate investment properties, and using my long-term savings account, I was able to buy my dream car, a Lamborghini Huracan, right? This is a cash flow management system that you must start using immediately. Every day you don't, you're becoming more and more trapped and broke. So that comes from a good friend of mine, Mr. Brian Casella, Orange County, California. And I think we all know that Brian has some really good stuff to say, right? So just so you guys know, so I can wrap this up, I've spent close to $100,000 just on financial literacy and education. I've spent close to $200,000 with my personal development. And what I've learned is that I want to be able to help people through this, right? So honestly, this course that I'm teaching and offering is worth somewhere around $3,000. $2,997 is what we tagged the value at. But because Jason brought me on here and some of the things that we're doing with it to really help accelerate people's growth, I'm not going to give it to you guys today for even $2,000 or even $1,000, but I'm actually going to get you guys in here for only $297. Okay, $297 gets you the Jumpstart program for life, right? And also, I'm also going to give you guys 30-day free trial of our accelerated coaching program. So once you finish through the Jumpstart program and you get your cash flow management system in place and you really want to start to work on lowering your tax bill and work on protecting your assets and continually developing that emotional state management around money and creating that financial belief, it's going to take some more growth, right? I said, this is going to be a 3 to 4 or 5 year journey for a lot of people. Okay, so that accelerated program keeps you going. I'm going to give you 30 days free of that. And then I'm also going to include a financial freedom budget tracker. It's the exact tool and system that I use that manages my cash flow system, so I can see the percentages that go to my financial freedom account. I can see the percentage going to my necessity account. I can see the percentages going into my give account or my, I call it country donations or tax account, right? Or what about that fund jar where we want to go splurge and celebrate a little bit? That tool is going to be included in you. So there's a $400 value I'm going to give you guys in part of that absolutely free. It's just a gift of mine. The other thing is just here's the deal. This is not for all of you. I want to be very clear. It's not for all of you. It's not for the people that don't want to take control of their financial freedom. It's not for you if you're not ready to take control of that yet, okay? It's not for you that wants to stay middle class or stay broke or stay just financially in a shitty place, okay? If that's you, if you're not ready to make that change, this isn't for you. And then the other thing, it's not for that person that's not willing to take responsibility for their financial freedom, okay? It's not for the person who's hoping someone else will do it, okay? So one thing that I've learned is the person that takes action in life is the guy that gets rewarded. Early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. The early bird gets the worm, sort of thing, right? So if you do this, I'm also going to include some other free stuff. You're going to find out what they are when you get there, but go ahead and get signed up. I put the link in the comments below so you guys can get started, get signed up. Did you learn something today? Did you learn something today? Number one thing that I want you to really get right now is nothing changes if nothing changes. You hear me? You've got to start taking action. You've got to start doing it in your financial literacy. So go sign up literally for $297 one time. You get it for life. Did you have some fun today? Did you guys? My goal is to create massive value. Part of creating that massive value is to be a little bit entertaining. So put a yes in. Does this apply in Canada? Absolutely, Sarah, this applies in Canada. I just barely saw that comment. Absolutely. this applies in Canada. In fact, I've got students in Brazil. I've got students in New Zealand. What you come to find out, Sarah, is a lot of the government systems and financial systems are the same everywhere, okay? They're the same stuff. That was one thing I learned spending a lot of time in Brazil. I thought it was weird that when I was there in 2010, they had this first-time homebuyer home credit. How many of you guys remember that first-time homebuyer credit back in 2008, 9, and 10, right? Wasn't it a little strange? I showed up in Brazil in 2010 and they've got it too. Right, because they use similar principles and trainings. I mean, the elite organizations, they're working together on a global scale for sure. So did we get excited to go crush our cash flow management system for 2000? Say yes if that's you. And then, guys, because you all stayed on this call with me today, or even if you watch this recorded, send me a personal message on Facebook. And I'm also going to give you a free training valued at $197. It's going to be a 10-step video program that's going to teach you 10 steps to create your financial freedom blueprint or your financial freedom plan. So if you send me a message on Facebook and Messenger, add me as a friend or follow me there, send me a message there, and I will send you absolutely free that training just because you stayed on the whole time with me. Cool? That's it, guys. That's it, folks. Go dominate 2018.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you being on. That was fantastic.
Thanks, man. Glad we could deliver. Anything else you need from me?
I think we're good today. Thanks, man.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Enjoy your day.